For this video, I thought I would talk about some of my favorite found footage horror movies that are also kind of obscure. And I'm not trying to come off as a hipster or anything, but when I look at lists of the best found footage horror movies around, I rarely see these ones mentioned, despite the fact that they're very, very good. I'm not saying nobody mentions these movies, just that they don't seem to be on many, if any, lists, and I think they're all worth a watch. So, in no particular order of favorite to least favorite, I'm just going to talk about these movies and highly recommend that you check them out if you're a fan of found footage horror. I'm also not going to go into a lot of detail about each one of them because obviously I wouldn't want to spoil anybody if I want them to see these movies. The first one I want to talk about is called The Bay. I have seen this on maybe one or two lists, maybe. I only ever got it recommended to me because I was on Reddit, I think, and I was talking to some people and somebody mentioned it, and that's the only way I ever found out about it. At the time, it was almost impossible to find, and I was very annoyed because I had to go through several different channels to actually get a copy of this movie to watch it, and then, of course, somehow it became more popular, and now you can watch it on like Tubi for free if you want. So that was just my luck. In any case, this is quite possibly one of the best found footage horror movies that exist, and people also don't really talk about or know about, apparently. Maybe they do now because it is on more streaming applications, but still, whenever I bring up this movie to horror fans or anybody else, they just kind of give me a blank look. The movie is really well done in the way that they capture it in several forms of media. It's not just one person with a camera like found footage usually is. They have a whole thing with a news reporter and she's covering this town. They use CCTV footage. They use footage from interviews of people who experienced this incident. It is very well done and very well put together. And in all honesty, I think that out of all the horror movie premises that I've seen in found footage, I think this one is the most plausible because of what it deals with. Ultimately, the movie is about a small town that faces some sort of infection. They don't know what's causing it, and all hell breaks loose. It is very suspenseful, it is very interesting. It is quite gory, so if you're not into that, skip it. But highly recommend it. 9 out of 10. The second movie that I want to talk about in the found footage genre is the movie Afflicted. This is another movie that I have definitely seen on one or two lists, but regularly gets left out of them for some reason. And once again, I don't know why. But I love this movie. And there isn't much I can say about it without giving away why I like it or why it's good, because part of why it's good is what's happening to the main character in the movie. And initially, it wasn't something I thought I was going to like because of the premise, but I really did like it. For being a found footage movie, it's really well done, very well acted, the effects are amazing, and all I can say is that it's about a person who gets infected with a mysterious illness and he kind of documents all of the side effects of what's going on. And it's just a very unique idea. I don't think I've seen found footage tackle this ever, not before and not since. And I don't know why this isn't more widely spoken about because it's so good. But yeah, go check this one out. 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 from me. The next one I would like to talk about is called The Possession of Michael King. And I don't actually think I've seen this on any list. I'm not saying that it's not, but I know how I found it, and that was one night I was kind of scrolling through Tubi and I saw it and I liked the summary and I thought, I'll give it a shot. I didn't think it was going to be that good because a lot of time Tubi movies are hit or miss, and this one surprised me. I am a sucker for demon possession movies, so I was probably going to like it on some level either way. And I think it was done very, very well. It is about a man who is very skeptical of God or the devil or the afterlife or demons, and his wife gets killed. And he goes on this whole journey to like prove that there's no God and that there's no afterlife and that there's no devil. And he does all this weird stuff and ritual stuff and cult stuff. And well, obviously, it doesn't turn out very well for him. But I think that it's worth a watch. I have recommended it to other people, they've liked it. But how popular it is, I don't know because I've never bothered to look it up on a list after watching it. I just think it's a really good movie. So I'd still give it maybe 8 out of 10 stars because sometimes the acting is kind of stupid and not well done. But overall, it's not unwatchable. I've actually watched it a few times because there's some things that you can miss if you aren't paying attention. But yeah, go ahead and see this movie. This next one that I would like to talk about is The Curse of Aurora. I don't believe I've seen it on any lists because I remember how I found it, and once again, it was on a streaming platform, and I was just kind of looking for a movie to watch, and I thought, okay, that kind of looks interesting. And it actually really was. It's the kind of movie where they don't have a ton of jump scares. There are a few, but most of it is atmospheric, and it's like I've seen it maybe 4 times now because I keep showing it to people who I think will like it, and every single time I watch it, I notice something new. They're very, very good at putting things in the background to make you feel uneasy. And if you're not watching close enough or paying that much attention, you'll miss them. It's like a whole blink and you'll miss it type thing. Like when I talked about those hidden frames in the movie The Ring. And I like the fact that there's always something new that I notice every time I watch it. It's about a group of filmmakers who are, well, they seem like documentarians, but they also talk about making a horror movie that's not really a documentary. But the point is that they're trying to investigate the events around an actual crime that happened and the death of a girl named Aurora. And it also goes pretty bad for them. Obviously, it wouldn't be a horror movie if it didn't. But I would really highly recommend this one. I would say 9 out of 10, and it would be a 10 out of 10, but I think the intro is really stupid and they didn't need it. So if they remove that, it would be a 10 out of 10. You don't even need to watch the intro if you don't want, but that's my opinion. The last one that I'm going to talk about is called RWD. And this one I randomly found years ago for like 99 cents on Amazon or something like that. And I was intrigued mostly because the movie was written by 2 guys and they are the same 2 guys who act in the movie. And basically, the whole thing was made by 2 guys. Like, all of it, the same 2 guys. The only other person who was brought in was for music and maybe some of the sound design or effects, but that's it. And I thought, this could be either really, really good or really, really bad. What I found was something in between. Because obviously, when you only have 2 people making a movie, there are some constraints that you have to work with. However, I think they did such a good job for just 2 people that I can't say that it was bad. And I like the idea. Now, there are a lot of plot holes, there are a lot of questions, there are a lot of problems with this movie. I'm not going to say that it's like the best found footage movie I've ever seen, but I think that based on the premise and the low budget and the 2 people who worked on it, it is really good. And if you at least give it a chance and you realize that, it wasn't made like a big production with a huge team, you realize that these 2 guys pulled off something quite incredible that most people probably couldn't do because they would need a lot more help. The premise is that there are 2 guys who run this kind of supernatural or ghost hunting YouTube channel, and they're headed out to this house to do an interview about paranormal activity out there. And things start going astray, as you can imagine, because that's what I say about all these movies. If I even try to get into what's happening or what happens in the movie, it will give it away, and that's why I'm being so vague. And I do think people should see this movie and give it a chance because I think smaller, more indie productions like this deserve a chance. And in order for us to have maybe another horror renaissance instead of eons and eons of remakes and reboots, we need to start paying attention to indie filmmakers when they're good. Not the bad ones, but the good ones. And these guys are definitely in the realm of being the good ones. So please check it out. It's called RWD, and I think it's still on Amazon, but I've seen it on a few other platforms. So those are my picks for found footage horror movies that people don't really talk about, or I don't really see on lists, or I don't even know the status of their popularity because I just randomly found them at some point and watched them and thought they were good. And I think everybody else should watch them. So if you've heard of these movies, if you've seen one of them, please leave a comment. I would love to know your thoughts. If you thought all of them sucked, or if you thought they were good, whatever. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing because you got this far, so you were clearly entertained. Leave a like, share it with your friends, and I hope I'll see you again next time.